I never thought I'd end up in handcuffs because of a golden retriever's wagging tail. But there I was, face down on my own driveway, zip-tied like some low-life drug runner, while my neighbor Karen, that self-appointed queen of the cul-de-sac, smirked from her porch like she'd just won the lottery. It all started with a single bark at dawn, the kind that echoes through our sleepy Florida suburb like a starter pistol. And before I could even grab my coffee, sirens were wailing and her shrill voice was screeching vicious animal into her phone. But here's the kicker, my dog. Max wasn't just any mutt. He was a decorated canine from Delta Force Ops. The four-legged hero who'd sniffed out IEDs in the sands of Afghanistan while I humped a ruck through hell. Calling him vicious was like calling Rambo a house cat. And Karen's power trip was about to blow up in her Botox face worse than any roadside bomb. You see, I'd moved to Willow Creek Estates 6 months ago, fresh off a psych eval and early discharge from the Army, trading desert camo for khakis and a cul-de-sac that looked like it was ripped from a Better Homes and Gardens spread, manicured lawns, white picket fences, and enough nosy retirees to fill a bingo hall. I was the new guy, the quiet vet with the service dog vest on Max, trying to blend in after years of not sleeping through the night without flashbacks. Max was my shadow, my therapist on pause, trained to paw at my chest when the nightmares hit. But to the HOA busybodies, he was just that loud beast crapping on the communal green space. And Karen? Oh, Karen Hargrove, CEO of some mid-tier marketing firm in Orlando, was the undisputed ringleader of the neighborhood Gestapo. 52, divorced twice, with a chihuahua named Mr. Pipsqueak that yapped like a faulty smoke alarm. She ruled the Willow Creek Homeowners Association with an iron fist wrapped in a pearl necklace. Fines for untrimmed hedges, her jam. Anonymous complaints about kids' bikes on sidewalks, she lived for it. But me? I was her white whale, the single guy with a military surplus vibe who didn't kiss her ring. It began innocently enough, or as innocent as suburbia gets when everyone's got a Ring camera pointed at your soul. First weekend, I let Max off leash in my backyard for a quick Zoom eye session, standard decompression after a VA appointment. And wouldn't you know it, his joyful barks carried over the 6-foot privacy fence like Morse code for freedom. Next morning, a crisp HOA violation notice taped to my door. Excessive noise disturbance, $50 fine. Repeat offenses will escalate. No name on it, but the passive-aggressive font screamed Karen. I shrugged it off, paid the fine online, because who has time for small claims court over doggy daycare drama? And figured it'd blow over. Spoiler, it didn't. By month 2, the notes piled up like foreclosure warnings, unleashed animal sighting, unsightly mud tracks on sidewalk, even potential aggressive behavior, reported lunging at mailman. Lunging? The mailman was ex-Marine, and he and Max swapped high fives or paw bumps every Tuesday. I started taping my own Ring footage. Max curled up on the porch, tail thumping lazily. Not a snarl in sight. But evidence? In Karen's world, that was for chumps. She had community standards to uphold. I tried neighborly route once, bumping into her at the community pool, me in board shorts, her in a one-piece that looked like it was woven from recycled passive aggression. Hey, Karen, about the notes. Max is a service dog, certified and all. Maybe we can work something out. She adjusted her oversized sunglasses, lips pursing like she'd sucked a lemon. Service dog or not. Mr. Reyes. Rules are rules. This isn't Fallujah. It's a family neighborhood. Your bait disrupts the peace. The way she said pet, like it was a euphemism for rabid raccoon, lit a fuse in me I hadn't felt since my last convo with a Taliban goat herder. But I bit it back, PTSD and a license to go full Rambo on soccer moms. Instead, I nodded, smiled that 1,000-yard stare grin, and said, "Understood. I'll keep it down." Inside, I was plotting the petty wars of suburbia. anonymous Yelp reviews for her firm's soul-crushing open-plan office, stickers on her Tesla reading honk if you're basic. But Karen? She smelled weakness like blood in the water. Fast forward to the barbecue blowout. Willow Creek's annual 4th of July shindig. Hot dogs sizzling. Kids with sparklers. And enough red, white, and blue Jell-O salads to induce a sugar coma. I'd shown up solo. Max leashed at my side in his vest, figuring it'd humanize me to the horde. Big mistake. Karen held court by the grill, regaling the circle with tales of her corporate conquests while Mr. Pipsqueak trembled in her purse like a furry anxiety pill. Spotting me, she zeroed in, voice carrying over the Star-Spangled Banner playlist. The mystery man and his guard dog. Everyone, meet Javier Reyes, Army vet. Apparently thinks HOA bylaws are optional. Laughter rippled. The kind that's half-hearted but stings like salt in a wound. I forced a chuckle, but Max tensed under my hand, his ears perking at the shift in vibe. Just here for the ribs. Karen. Max is off duty. She waved a manicured nail. Off duty or not, that beast nearly took out poor Mrs. Ellis's cat last week. We're filing a formal complaint at the next board meeting. Mrs. Ellis, the widow down the street who fed Max bacon scraps, lies, all of it. But calling her out would have made me the aggressor, the angry vet trope they all feared. That's when the hook sank deeper. As the sun dipped, fireworks cracking like distant mortar rounds. I overheard her on the phone by the cooler. Yes. Animal Services? We have a vicious dog situation in Willow Creek. Breed? Shepherd mix? No. Worse. Some kind of military mutt. Owner's uncooperative. Send someone first thing. My blood turned to battery acid. Vicious? Uncooperative? This wasn't about noise. It was personal. A power play from a woman who'd probably cried when her last husband left because the mirror finally fought back. I slipped away early, Mux trotting beside me, oblivious to the storm brewing. Back home, I cracked a beer, scrolled through my discharge papers, Max's commendations from CENTCOM, photos of him in tack gear mid-sniff, and felt that old Ranger itch. Assess. Adapt. Overcome. But suburbia? No ROE here. Just revenge served cold with a side of schadenfreude. By dawn, the trap snapped. Max's routine wake-up bark, 3 sharp woofs of the back door. His way of saying PT cleared. Let's PT must have been the trigger. I heard the crunch of tires before the knock. Stumbled out in boxers and a faded 10th Mountain tee, only to find 2 county animal control officers, badges gleaming, one with a catchpole dangling like a noose. Mr. Reyes, we've got a report of an aggressive animal. Need to inspect. Behind them, Karen's silhouette in her bathrobe, arms crossed. That triumphant gleam in her, I like she'd just closed a hostile takeover. Max patted up, tail low and wagging tentatively. But the female officer, let's call her Officer Buzzkill, snapped her fingers. Down. Boy, we've had multiple complaints. Mom. She nodded at Karen, who stepped forward like a district attorney in curlers. He's a menace. Officers. Bit my chihuahua last month. Nearly took his ear off. And the barking? It's psychological warfare. Psychological warfare? From a dog who once sat through a firefight without flinching? I bit my tongue. But the male officer, big guy, looked like he'd wrestled hogs in high school. I'd Max's vest. Service animal? Papers. I fetched them quick. The folder with DOD stamps and vet signatures thicker than Karen's ego. But she wasn't done. Service or not, he's not registered with the HOA. We have covenants. The officers exchanged glances. The kind that says, not our circus, but protocol's a bitch. They leashed Max, gently, thank God, and led him to the van for observation, me protesting like a fool until Buzzkill zip-tied my wrists for interference. Standard procedure. Sir, you'll get a hearing. As they drove off, Karen's voice cut through. Told you. Javier. Rules apply to everyone, even heroes. Heroes. The word twisted like a knife. Dredging up sand and screams I'd buried deep. I spent the next hour in the back of a squad car, courtesy of a welfare check that somehow escalated, stewing in rage that could have powered a Humvee. Betrayal? Yeah, that hit hard. Not just from Karen, but the whole damn neighborhood that nodded along. Too spineless to call her bluff. I'd shared beers with half these folks. Swapped war stories for their golf handicaps. Thinking maybe this was my shot at normal. But normal in America? It's a myth for guys like me, where gratitude fades faster than VA wait times. Released with a warning and Max's impound notice. I hit the ground running, calls to my old CO, emails to the sheriff's K-9 liaison, even a frantic DM to the local news tip line. Hero dog seized by Karens. Clickbait gold. But I needed more. Revenge wasn't just exposure. It was dismantling her throne. Brick by pearl by brick. The hearing was set for 48 hours out. A kangaroo court in the community center's beige basement, folding chairs, flickering fluorescents, and the faint whiff of moldy coffee that screamed bureaucracy. I prepped like it was a mission brief, timelines on a legal pad, witness statements from the mailman and Mrs. Ellis, who'd texted a furious that which lied, and Max's full dossier, declassified ops reports. A Silver Star equivalent for canine valor pinned to his crate like a Purple Heart. But the real ammo? Karen's skeletons. Turns out, digging suburbia's dirt is easier than IED hunting. A quick LinkedIn stalk revealed her firm's diversity initiative was window dressing for a lawsuit settlement. Sexual harassment claims from 2 ex-employees. Hushed with NDAs and a fat check. And her HOA reign? Not so squeaky. Anonymous forum post from disgruntled Willow Creek resident detailing her creative fine reallocations to her personal beautification fund. Coincidence? Nah. I printed it all. Watermarked with public record, ready to drop like a flashbang. Word spread fast in our echo chamber of a neighborhood. By evening, my Ring app pinged with motion alerts, clusters of neighbors on sidewalks, whispering like it was Watergate. A few texted support. Hang in there. Javier. Karen's always been a pill, but most ghosted. The fair weather allies of American politeness. I crashed hard that night. Max's absence a void that pulled nightmares like gravity, visions of him caged in some county pound, fluorescent lit and lonely. While I failed him again, woke up sweating, fists clenched, and hit the bag in my garage until my knuckles split. Enough. Time to clap back. Not with fists, but facts, the vet's way. Precise. Overwhelming. No mercy. Day of the hearing. The room was packed, 30 folding chairs. Half full with HOA faithful. The rest gawkers drawn by the drama. Karen presided at the head table, flanked by her 2 lackeys, Bob the retired accountant, dozing through his own bylaws, and Linda the yoga instructor, all zen until fines were mentioned. I walked in solo, folder under arm, in my best button down, the one from my commission ceremony, feeling every eye like a laser designator. Max was still impounded, but I'd gotten a video call from the pound, him pacing his kennel, ears up, waiting for extract. That image fueled me. Karen banged a gavel, actual gavel, like she was Judge Judy on steroids. Order. This emergency session addresses the threat posed by Mr. Reyes Animal to Willow Creek's safety and serenity. Threat. The word hung like tear gas. She launched into her opening salvo. PowerPoint clicking like chambered rounds. Blurry cell phone pics of mud damage. Audio clips of barks amplified to hyena levels. Sworn affidavits from witnesses who wouldn't show their faces. This isn't personal. Javier, she cooed. All false sympathy. But your dogs disrupted our community harmony. We recommend indefinite quarantine. Pending relocation. Relocation. Code for euthanasia in bureaucrat speak. My jaw locked. But I waited. Patience is the sniper's creed. When my turn came, I stood slow, unfolding my presentation like a map to her downfall. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk facts, not fiction. Slide 1. Max's service vest. DoD certification. Glowing testimonials from my CO, SGT. Reyes and K9 Max, inseparable team. Saved 23 lives in Operation Enduring Freedom. Murmurs rippled. Slide 2. Counter evidence. Ring footage timestamps debunking every incident. Mrs. Ellis's email read aloud. Max is a sweetheart. Karen's chihuahua started it all. Gasps. Then, Karen's face tightened. That CEO mass cracking. Irrelevant. HOA rules supersede. Supersede federal law. I cut in. Voice steady as a suppressed M4. Slide 3. ADA protections for service animals. Highlighted in yellow. Followed by her bylaws cherry-picked to show exemptions she'd ignored for her own yapping purse pet. The room shifted, chairs creaking as Bob woke up, Linda fidgeting with her mala beads. But I wasn't done. Slide 4. The dirt. Now, about community harmony, a mess. Hargrove, care to explain why 15% of last year's dues vanished into your personal reserve? Or the harassment suit at Hargrove Marketing that cost your board a six-figure settlement? I dropped the printouts on the table, pages fanning like a bad hand in poker. Public records. Folks, while you're fining vets for barking, your leader's been playing three-card monte with our money. Chaos erupted, shouts from the back. Karen slamming her gavel so hard it skittered off the table. Slander. This is a witch hunt. But her voice cracked, that polished veneer splintering under the spotlights. Bob cleared his throat. Karen, is this accurate? Linda whispered something about karma. I leaned in, eyes locked on hers. Not slander, ma'am. Accountability. The kind you skipped when you called animal control on a hero. The vote was swift. Max released immediately. All fines waived. And a review of HOA leadership pending. As the crowd filed out, neighbors clapping me on the back. About time someone stood up, Karen stormed past, hissing, "You'll regret this. Reyes, I have connections. Connections. In Florida, that meant everything from lobbyists to landscapers." I drove to the pound under a bruised sunset, Max leaping into my truck like we'd both survived Fallujah, tail thumping my thigh the whole way home. He knew, instinct, that unbreakable bond. But as I pulled into the driveway, Karen's Tesla idled across the street, her silhouette watching. The clapback felt good. Clean. But revenge? That's a boomerang. And mine was arcing back hard. That night, the backlash hit like a monsoon. My phone buzzed nonstop. Texts from unknowns. Traitor. Stirring up trouble. And voicemails from a blocked number. Karen's clipped tone. Expect a cease and desist by morning. You've slandered a professional woman. Slander? I'd quoted court filings. But in Willow Creek, truth was optional if it bruised egos. I ignored it. Grilled steaks for Max and me on the back patio. Rare for him. Medium for me. Watching fireflies dance like distant tracers. For the first time in months, sleep came easy, dreamless. The weight of the day, a victory scar. Morning brought the storm. Sheriff's cruiser in my drive at 0630. Deputies handing over papers. Defamation suit from Hargrove Marketing. LLC. $250,000 in damages. Claims I'd maliciously impugned her rep on public forums. The hearing? They'd twisted it into a private matter. My printouts now leaked documents. Cute. I call my JAG buddy from Fort Bragg, pro bono for vets, and he laughed. She's bluffing. Javier. Florida's anti-SLAPP laws will bury her. But the damage? It rippled. Neighbors who'd high-fived me yesterday now cross streets. Whispers of troublemaker trailing like exhaust. Even Mrs. Ellis left a passive-aggressive fruit basket. Apples for apologies? Karen escalated. Of course. Anonymous posts on Nextdoor. Beware the aggressive vet next door. His dog's just the start. My inbox flooded with spam. Viagra ads mixed with hate mail. Work suffered too. I'm a freelance IT consultant, patching networks for small businesses. But clients in Orlando got wind, canceling gigs with scheduling conflicts. Money tightened, that familiar squeeze from deployment days. But worse because this enemy wore Lululemon. I could have lawyered up quiet, let fade, but the betrayal burned deeper now. Not just her lies about Max, but the neighborhood's complicity. The American dream curdling into HOA hell. Time to go nuclear. I started small. Surgical strikes in the shadows of suburbia. First, the petition, a change.org link blasted to every Willow Creek email I could scrape. Remove Karen Hargrove. Restore integrity to our HOA. Signatures poured in, 200 by lunch, fueled by retirees tired of her nickel-and-diming. Finally, one commented, "She fined me for bird feeders." Then, the media play. My tip line DM? It hit pay dirt, Channel 9's Neighborhood Nightmares segment. A perky reporter with a microphone bigger than her ethics. Hero Dogs HOA horror, exclusive. They aired at prime time, me in silhouette. Voice modulated, recounting the impound. The lies. Max's vest propped like a prop from Black Hawk Down. Views spiked. Shares from vet groups nationwide. Support our K9S. And suddenly, Karen's LinkedIn lit up with concerned messages from her corporate peers. She fought dirty. Naturally. Her countersuit amended overnight, adding emotional distress and cyberbullying, claiming my petition caused her panic attacks. Panic? The woman who'd once emailed the board at 2 a.m. over a misplaced recycling bin. Her chihuahua even got in on it. A viral TikTok of Mr. Pipsqueak, traumatized, trembling to sad piano. Caption: victims of the Reyes reign of terror. It got 50K likes, mostly from blue-check Karens in gated communities. Outrage brewed online. The internet's favorite potluck, half cheering my everyman stand, the other half doxing my address with lock up the loose cannon. I monitored it all from my couch. Max's head in my lap. His steady breaths the only anchor in the feed's frenzy. The HOA board meeting was the flashpoint. A week post-hearing, packed to the rafters with pitchforks and folding fans. Karen arrived like a general, flanked by a lawyer in a suit shinier than her divorce ring, freshly hired, billing by the indignation. "This body will not tolerate anarchy," she thundered. Gavel in one hand, Vinny Latte in the other. Slides flew. My face blurred in threatening emails, actually polite requests for transparency. Petition stats twisted as harassment metrics. Bob nodded along. Linda meditated through it. But the room? Electric with murmurs. Then my proxy spoke, Mrs. Ellis, braving the spotlight in her Sunday best. Karen's run this place like her personal fiefdom. Fines to friends. Vendettas to foes. Javier's dog? Pretext. We're done. The vote to oust her was 18-7. A landslide in slow motion. Cheers erupted as her gavel clattered silent, face blanching whiter than her highlights. She bolted mid-adjournment, lawyer trailing with will appeal, but the clapback high, fleeting. Outside, a scrum of reporters, local now, with a Fox affiliate sniffing national, shove mics in my face. "Mr. Reyes, is this justice for service animals?" I mumbled platitudes, Max straining at his leash. But inside, vindication tasted like ash. Karen's Tesla peeled out, tires screeching gospel, and I wondered if I'd pushed too far, turn a bully's bluff into my own crusade. Fallout cascaded like dominoes in a hurricane. Her firm, client exodus after the segment aired, bad optics, the PR spin. LinkedIn went dark. Whispers of early retirement from boardroom buddies. Willow Creek. A purge. New bylaws drafted overnight. Service animal exemptions bolded in blue. Fines frozen pending audit. Neighbors trickled back. Potluck invites. Awkward saris over fences, but trust? Fractured. Like a dropped mug you glue but still see the cracks. Me? Gigs trickled in. Vet orgs hooking me up with contracts. Canine consultant. Pro bono cret. Max and I hiked the Everglades on weekends. His nose to the wind. My head clearer than it had been since Kandahar. But Karen? She didn't fade quiet. 2 weeks post-ouster. A package thumped on my porch. No stamp. Just my name in block letters. Inside, a thumb drive labeled Truth. Plugged it in. Heart hammering, grainy dashcam footage. Time-stamped last summer. Her Tesla, idling in my drive at 0200. Me passed out on the couch visible through the window. Post-nightmare haze. Then her, slipping a baggie under the mat. White powder. Unmistakable. Voiceover. Her whisper. That'll teach the vet to ignore violations. Framed. The whole beef. A setup from jump. Her escalating incidents to bait me into snapping. Plant the evidence. Call in favors for clean sweep. Betrayal. Pure and venomous. Not neighborly spite, but calculated ruin. The kind that ends careers. Lives. Rage boiled. But I played smart, cops first. Forensics on the drive. My Jag on speed dial. Tampering with evidence. Attempted false report, felony territory. They hauled her in dawn raid. Neighbors peeking through blinds as cuffs clicked. Interrogation room come lekid anonymous deep. Cough. Her crumbling, he threatened me. The dog. Lies unraveling like cheap yarn. Charges stuck. Stalking. Fraud. The works. Bail denied. Her empire. Poof. The bitter end came quiet. In county lockups visitor log. I didn't go. No need for FaceTime with ghosts, but heard through the grapevine. Arraignment in orange. No lawyer flash. Just a public defender shuffling papers. Plea deal. 2 years. Probation. Restitution to the HOA fund she'd raided. Her chihuahua? Rehomed to a shelter. The irony thicker than her old lattes. Willow Creek threw a New Dawn block party. Ironic, given the dawn raids, but I skipped. Grilling solo with Max. Stars wheeling overhead like distant flares. Looking back, it wasn't victory, it was survival. The vet's creed etched deeper. Suburbia sold normalcy. But delivered knives in the dark. Karens like her. Hiding vendettas behind covenants. Max nudged my hand, paw heavy with knowing, and I scratched his ears, whispering, "Good boy. We got him." But the scars? They linger. Barks in the night a reminder. Heroes don't get happy endings. Just the next fight. And in America, that's enough. Epilogue? Nah. Suburbia doesn't do tidy bows. It leaves threads dangling, waiting for the next wind to tangle them. Months blurred after the plea. Autumn leaves carpeting Willow Creek like confetti from a funeral we all pretended wasn't one. The new HOA prez. A mild-mannered accountant named Ted, Bob's cousin. Irony's gift. Mailed me a hero's exemption plaque, gilded plastic, engraved with ingratitude for service, which I hung in the garage next to Max's tack vest. Gathering dust beside oil cans. Nike was normalized fast. American resilience or just selective amnesia. Barbecues resumed. My IT van became that guy's truck again. Clients flowed steady from vet networks, hyping my stand-up story. Channel 9 even looped a follow-up, Justice for Jaws. K9 vindicated, with me demurring on camera. Max photobombing with a lolling tongue. Views hit viral. Merch offers trickling. Karen-proof mugs. Bark back tees. I passed. Capitalism's hustle felt too much like her game. Max thrived. Though, extra fetch sessions in the community park. Now, leash optional for service pups. his barks echoing free without fine threats. Vet checkups glowed. Peak form. SGT. Reyes, whatever you're doing, keep it up. I was doing. Rebuilding quiet-like. Therapy apps ditched for trail runs. Nightmares fading to half-remembered echoes. Dated a barista from a VA coffee shop, Sarah, with tattoos of dog tags and a laugh that cut fog. Our first double date a hike where Max played wingman, fetching sticks like Cupid's arrows. You're intense, she said over IPAs at a brewpub, but the good kind. Like, protector energy. Protector. Yeah, that landed. A bomb on wounds I hadn't aired. Karen's ghost lingered, though, in ripples you can't skim. Her house. Foreclosed quick. Hargrove marketing tanked post-scandal. Assets liquidated to cover suits from jilted clients. Sold to a young family. Minivan in the drive. Chalk hopscotch on the walk. They wave shy on trash day. Oblivious to the haunt. Court updates pinged my alerts. Probation violations. Missed check-ins. A bar fight over stolen parking, netting her 6 more months inside. Last I heard, she was penning a tell-all from county jail. Self-pub screed titled Suburban Sabotage, How One Man's Dog Destroyed My Life. Beta readers? Her old HOA cronies, now scattered like roaches post-raid. Bob retired to assisted living. Linda pivoted to trauma yoga retreats, ironies encore. The neighborhood? Healed skin deep. Petitions now routine for potholes. Not personalities, but trust? Thin ice. Cracking under every side eye of my truck. Winter hit Florida style. Chilly snaps and holiday lights strung like tripwires. I hosted a low-key solstice thing. Vets from the local VFW mixing with wary neighbors over spiked eggnog and Max's belly rub station. Sarah manned the grill, flipping burgers with stories of her rescue pup back home, Mrs. Ellis brought her famous pecan pie, whispering, "You changed us, Javier, for the better." Changed? Maybe. But as fireworks popped New Year's distant, echoes of mortars. Always I felt the old itch, that ranger restlessness. Suburbia's cage, gilded as it was, chafed after the wilds. Spring thawed the grudge, or so I thought. Anonymous letter in my box, one muggy morn, no stamp. Perfumed stationery, Chanel no. 5. Her signature. You took everything, Reyes. But I always bounce back. Watcher 6. Childish? Sure. But the chill, bone deep, like a spotter's whisper pre-ambush. I filed it with the detective, stalking 2. Logs updated, but sleep fractured again. Max pawing my chest at 0-300. Eyes locked in that I've got you stare. Sarah noticed. Curling closer. Talk to me. Babe. What's haunting? I spilled it all over Dawn coffee. The setup. The frame. The why still murky. Power. I guess. She saw a threat in quiet. And quiet don't fight back loud. She squeezed my hand. You did. And won. Winning's relative. Though. Some are scorched in. My contract's booming. Now consulting for police K-9 units statewide. Road trips with Max shotgun. Windows down to wind-whipped fur. Willow Creek faded backdrop. Just another AO cleared. But the bidder? It crystallized in a call from her lawyer, settlement offer. Paltry sum 4 withdrawn claims. I laughed. Hung up. Then donated it to the pound where Max waited. New kennels. Reyes wing. Poetic. Petty. Perfect. 1 year on the dot. I drove past her old place, habit. Or closure hunt. New folks hosting a yard sale. Card tables piled with relics. Her latte mugs. A dog-eared lean-in. That gavel chipped from overuse. I snagged the gavel for $1. Tossed it in my glove box like a talisman. Max sniffed it later. Sneezed disdain. And we laughed, man and mutt. Unbreakable. Betrayal taught me. Heroes don't slay dragons. They outlast them. One dawn bark at a time. Karen? A footnote. Faded ink on yellowed covenants. Me, still standing, tail wagging, ready for whatever cul-de-sac curveball comes next. In America, that's the real op. Endure, adapt, and never let the Karens clip your wings.